Josh, what is it like to be back here at this circus here as a head coach?
Well, it's great. It's, it means the kickoff for another season, and that's what's really exciting for me. And excited about our opportunity at South Carolina. Look forward to getting started with our players on August 1st.
What's a realistic expectation for Jake Bentley to come in and compete for the job? He's got obviously some knowledge of the system because of who his dad is, but is it realistic that he can compete for that job right away?
Well, I think any freshman coming in is going to have every opportunity to contribute to our football teams, and Jake's one of those freshmen. So I think we'll find out what realistic expectation after about 2 weeks of camp of where he is within our offense and where he is as far as our roster is concerned at the quarterback position. But that goes true with every freshman.
Can you talk a little bit about how Sky is doing since his operation?
Yeah, he's doing well. He's going to start riding the bike here 1st of August. He'll start lifting in September. Obviously can't have any contact or anything till bowl practice. But again, his spirits are good. I text with him, trying to as much as we can about every day, just to check on him to make sure he's in good spirits, because he's going through a tough time. It's the first time in his life he's had something really important to him taken away, and that's very difficult for a young man to go through. So I certainly understand that.
Will, is that a lingering injury from last year, or when did that exactly happen?
I don't know that you can really put a finger on exactly when those things happen. It was something that when we came in our off-season program, he complained of some tingling down his arms. So obviously this is a pre-existing injury. We wanted to calm it down a little bit. We gave it a couple injections to see if the herniated disc actually grew a little bit, and it became cumbersome for him to be able to move around and strength levels, and so that's when they decided to have the surgery.
That's obviously a big spot. Is Holloman the guy you look to there?
Well, I think TJ and Lorenz Bryant and John Walton are all three seniors, and Bryson Allen Williams is a really good football player. So those guys, and then we'll have to draw from Sherrod Pittman. TJ Brunson's a freshman on campus, and we'll see where we go from there. As much nickel as we play, you're really playing with two linebackers most of the time. But Bryson Allen's a young man that we want to be able to use in pass rush situations as well.
Coach Debo's kind of a small, shy, small-town kid who wasn't in the limelight much this year. What do you think this experience, being here, kind of representing the university, is maybe going to mean for his whole mentality moving forward?
Well, when he's been able to stay healthy, he's been a very productive player for us this past year, and we need to keep him healthy. But for us to play well offensively, he needs to have a good year. But he's a guy that really caught my eye in the all-season program, how he worked and how he went about his business. We've got a catapult system that we test, a lot of things as far as the strength capacity, endurance capacity, and he was one of the highest marking guys for that system throughout the entire all-season program. I thought he had a very good spring, but he works extremely hard, and that's why he's here.
And how about being one of the three guys chosen to be here to represent the university, what that might mean for him as far as his overall makeup?
Well, I think it says a lot to him on what I think of him as a player and his work ethic, and these three guys have made our transition as a staff very smooth. The buy-in that our entire team, we've had very little resistance. I think when you have a coaching change, you always have transfers, you always have somewhat of resistance, but we've had very little resistance from our group, and these three guys have helped us tremendously.
Will, given that you've got Jake and you're going to try to work Lorenzo back into the quarterback situation, is there a certain amount of time you feel like I've got to give it 2 weeks before I start thinking about it, or I've got to give it a week, or could it happen faster?
Josh, we're going to let that happen as it may. Whoever's going to help us win football games is who's going to play quarterback at South Carolina. Lorenzo's also going to play some receiver. We've worked through that this summer a little bit, but he's going to still have his hand in the quarterback position. Whether we play one quarterback, we play two, and who it's going to be, I don't know right now. I'm not going to put a timetable on that. I do agree with you that you've got to, at some point in camp, narrow things down and get the snaps that the guys needs, because there's going to be a possibility one of those guys is going to be a young guy. And so, but certainly Perry and Brandon distanced himself coming out of spring to win the job.
So is Lorenzo still in the starting quarterback competition?
Yeah, he's still there. He's still there. He's a guy that we're going to be able to use. He's a good athlete, and we need help at the receiver position. And unfortunately for him, with the injury after 4 practices, it really put him behind the 8 ball at the position. And that's an unfortunate situation for him. I hate it for him. But he's still going to be involved at quarterback. He and I have talked about it throughout the summer, and he is repping some at wideout. He is still repping in the quarterback room as well.
Does he feel good about playing some wide receivers? He feel okay with that?
He wants to help our football team.
What have the conversations been like with Bobby Bentley in terms of Jake's development?
Well, Bobby coaches running back, so
So
Kurt
doesn't-
Roper, he has zero to do with the quarterback position.
Coach, in light of what's happening around the
Looking
country.
good today.
Hey, well, so are you. Yeah, where'd you get that suit?
Brent Skinner, actually, I think, in Columbia. I appreciate you asking, though.
Hey, yeah.
He appreciates the plug.
Will, in light of what's happening around the country with the shootings and the protests, is this something that you're going to discuss with the team just to?
I already did. We had a meeting last night. I had Sheriff Lott come in from Richland County, talk to our football team about those situations, address it from a policeman's point of view. I showed last night, my father's a historian, so I've dealt with these stories my entire life. And one of his favorite history moments in the United States of America was the Civil Rights Movement. He admired Dr. King. He talked to me and always about Senator Kennedy's speech in Indianapolis, Indiana, the night of the assassination of Dr. King. And I showed that video to our team last night to show them that this country's been through some tough times before, much more difficult than we are facing right now. And it's not going to end. But we can polarize ourselves and separate ourselves and make this become a race or an economic or a financial issue, or we can band together, and that's what we need to do. We need to come together, and that's what I really imposed to our players last night. I think they enjoyed seeing that part of history of our country and understanding a little about how things happen and the demonstration. My father admired Dr. King for what he stood for, but how he handled it as much as anything. And that to me is what I tried to impress upon our players of handling. It's easy to do the right thing, and let's just handle things the right way.
Does everybody just have anything to say about what they're feeling, their emotions now?
Well, I opened it up last night, and we had some good comments about it. And obviously, I think on all fronts there's been some poor judgments, obviously. So we just need to come together and understand the big picture here and do the right thing.
Several coaches have had to answer questions this week about disciplinary issues in their programs. You've had it; it's been very quiet. Is it just are you lucky, or are you lucky, or some things that you put in place are working?
No, we have a lot of things in place, just like a lot of people do. I don't know a program in the country that does not have structure involved as far as educating their players, whether it's domestic violence, whether there's addiction, the mental edge. Everyone has forms of that within their program. Every program does. And at the end of the day, I think we did inherit a very good locker room. I credit Coach Spurrier and his staff for that. It's a continual education. I mean, you want to get out and brag about your players, and all of a sudden, they're 17, 18, 19-year-old young men. Somebody's going to make a mistake, and that's part of it. It's part of the education process. It's your job as a coach to try to change the behavior as best you can and alter that, and that's what we're in charge of. And a lot of times in situations, you as media people, and I respect the job you have to do, you've got to make an opinion or form an opinion, and you may not have all the information. There's one person that usually has all the information, that's the head coach. And that's the facts of it. And a lot of people don't want to recognize that and want to judge a decision based on not having all the information. But that is also your job as well, and I respect that.
Whenever a team goes through a change, you always look for leaders on both sides of the ball to really help the team stay together like glue. Who are those leaders on both sides of the ball for y'all?
Well, two of the guys are here with me today, Mason Zandy and Marcavius Lewis, are two guys that certainly have made our transition as a staff very smooth and really carried our message to our football team. And very proud of those guys and how they've handled themselves.
Anybody in your incoming class, excuse me, not going to make it in for academic reasons?
Right now, Akeem Cooper was the only one, and he's finishing up a class and should be there August 1st.
How has the summer gone for both the team and the staff?
Well, the staff's been off for a little while. We start back July 18th, so I hope they've enjoyed themselves because we're going to start working on July 18th. It's going to be awesome. But the team, all the reports I've gotten from Jeff Dillman have been very positive as far as the work ethic, the buy-in. And again, that's been very smooth since we've been in South Carolina.
When you look at this defense and what didn't work last year, does it need a major overhaul? I mean, that's kind of your focal point on that side of the ball. When you looked at some of the things that went wrong, what have you come up with?
Really, when I watched film from last year, I just looked at the intangible things about effort, tackling, and willingness to compete, and willingness to stick your face in there and enjoy contact. I mean, those are the things I look for, and I saw a lot of that continue to, in a positive way, in spring, continue to carry over. We have to improve in a lot of areas, and I do feel like we've got a good mixture of talent and experience in our front seven. We need to improve in the secondary, but I think we're capable of improving in the secondary. I think we're capable of playing much better. So let's get in fall camp and see what happens. We had some guys miss spring that I think can help our football team on defense especially. So let's get those guys on the field and let's see what happens.
What do you remember about your last go-around through SEC Media Days a couple of years ago?
Pat Dooley was a lot closer to me than he is today. Robbie Andrew was a lot closer than me he is today. All those guys, no, there's good guys. This is a kickoff for our season, and I'm excited about it.
You're going to probably pick pretty low, and you have been in some of these preseason things.
You guys are wrong every year.
Yeah.
Who cares? It doesn't even matter.
You can use that as motivation.
Nah, it doesn't even matter. At the end of the day, if you're not motivated coming off 3-9, something's wrong with you.